Welcome to another episode of Jolene's Book and Writers Talk, sponsored by Southern Dragon Publishing. I'm Jolene McFadden, your host, and today I'm excited to introduce you to Melissa Rooney, a freelance editor, writer, and award-winning picture book author who combines science, storytelling, and one of Melissa's latest releases is called Larry the Log Perch. And it was commissioned by the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke, Virginia, and shines a light on an endangered fish native to that region. She also is the creative mind behind Eddie the Electron, The Fate of the Frog, and I Chalk, blending environmental themes and scientific concepts into engaging stories for readers of all ages. Beyond writing, Melissa works with nonprofits like Urban Sustainability Solutions, where she helps high school students install rain gardens, cisterns, and wetlands, real hands-on lessons in protecting our waterways. In our conversation, Melissa opens up about her path through traditional, hybrid, and self-publishing, her thoughts on pseudonyms, how she tackles rejection, and the surprising role social media and even AI now play in her creative life. Stay tuned as we dive into the world of picture books that inspire curiosity, science, and sustainability with the very thinking author, Melissa Rooney.
My name is Melissa Rooney, and I'm a freelance editor and writer, and I'm also a picture book author. My latest book is entitled Larry the Log Perch. It was commissioned by the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke, Virginia, and it's about an endangered species of fish, the Roanoke log perch. It's really adorable. It flips rocks with its snout and eats the little macroinvertebrates that are underneath. Mostly dealing with sustainable stormwater solutions. It uses scientific terminology. It has a glossary, which is what I'm most proud of. It can be used for environmental science curricula in elementary all the way through high school, even though it is a picture book. I call it a picture book because I don't think they're just for children. And I have my own collection of picture books, and they're my favorite genre. I write grants for a nonprofit called Urban Sustainability Solutions, and we train and hire high school teachers and students to install best stormwater management practices like rain gardens, cisterns, wetlands, stream buffers, in order to stem the tide of the stormwater that has been increasing over the last 5-10 years.
How did you use social media as an author?
Oh gosh, during the COVID pandemic, that really pushed me into the use of social media more because a lot of what I do is in person. I also teach creative writing to elementary students in writing residencies, and we compose anthologies made of short stories that the students put together with my oversight and that of their teachers. But that wasn't possible during COVID. I didn't do the writing residencies, but through social media, I was able to communicate with some of the kids and the teachers so that they could work on their stories at home. I've got a Facebook account, Twitter account, an Instagram account, and even a TikTok account, I'm ashamed to say, but we all jumped on that TikTok wagon. I don't know how long it'll be around, but I do informative videos about scientific concepts that I find to be confusing. And once I figure them out, I'll do a little video to try to explain them to students, such as things about electricity. I've got a picture book about Eddie the Electron is the title, and it's about atoms and electrons and electricity. So I have a Facebook page for that book that I post a lot of fun, interesting, new scientific concepts on. And I have a separate Facebook page for The Fate of the Frog. That one deals with environmental issues. Everything's toned down to the elementary level and is safe for elementary students to have a look at. The info is clearly geared toward an adult audience.
I love TikTok. It's a guilty pleasure.
It is a guilty pleasure.
I have 3 different ones, one for me, one for my pen name, one for my publishing company.
You have a pen name. That's excellent. I've never
Yeah,
done that.
I do. I publish mostly nonfiction so far, and then I wanted to go into like steampunk mystery, historical romance kind of thing because I love doing historical romances.
Oh,
I got into an anthology with a writers group in Jacksonville. So I published 2 of those novellas.
oh, That's great. I'm a big anthology fan myself. I find 400-page novels, even though that's not very long, it's not like a huge book, but they can be a little intimidating to me even now. I like things in short, not quite a Twitter burst, but enough for one sitting or one or two, or just to finish in a week instead of a month.
Surprisingly, I like the anthologies too. And I do have the steampunk mystery series all plotted out and I'm working on it. But then my brain switched over and says, why don't we do the 1 minute mystery things or the flash fiction? Getting back to you as an author.
I love talking to people about their experiences.
That's why I'm doing the writer's talk. Are you traditionally published or indie?
I've been published in every which way. So my first book, Eddie the Electron, was published traditionally by Amberjack Publishing, which has now been bought by Chicago Review Press. The Phantom Front was hybrid published with Mascot Books, which just means that I didn't pay for their services, but I paid for the first batch of books that came out. They didn't make the financial commitment to purchase this first 500 books. I have a self-published book entitled iChalk, which I did on CreateSpace before it was bought by Amazon and became Kindle Direct Publishing. So that's still out there. And Larry the Log Perch was traditionally published. It was the first book of a new publishing company called Forward Press. And I accent the forward because it's not forward, it's forward. It's going in a different direction, which that was what really attracted me to that publishing company. I love the word forward. I've not heard it before, and now I use it all the time. I'm a very forward person.
You are starting a trend.
So,
Alrighty. And do you mind me asking what county you live in?
oh, so I live in Durham County in North Carolina.
Are you a member of the SWBI, the Children's?
Yes, I am. Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. I'm a member of that, as well as the Institute for Children's Literature. In fact, I was a finalist, fourth place in my short story for them. It's one of my first non-picture book projects, and that was exciting. I really like being a part of large organizations like that. I've found that their feedback has been just invaluable.
How do you process or deal with negative book reviews?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. They can be really disheartening. And I've been looking for an agent this last year. I've had several writer friends tell me, oh, you need an agent. You need to not do all this stuff by yourself. The number of rejections is disheartening. You have to get over the fact that is normal. I do read blog articles and things from other writers who are successful now who detail the rejection that they went through just to remind myself that doesn't mean that I'm a failure or that I shouldn't be doing this. Also, rejection letters are a real thing. So when I get a personal email or letter from an agent or editor or publisher that says, hey, we really like this, we just are ready for it right now, I try to take that to heart and discern whether I'm getting a former or something directly from the actual person that I contacted. When I get really down, because it does happen when the rejection has been persistent, I'll just go back and read through my published stuff. I have the picture books, but I also write for newspaper and serial publications, and I write children's book reviews for the New York Journal of Books, and I write theater and performance reviews for Triangle Theater Review here in the Triangle of North Carolina. And so I'll go back. It sounds narcissistic, but I'll go back and read through what I've written. And usually I come out feeling like, it's okay. No, that's good. That's a good article. You really landed that one. And it makes me feel better about myself. But really, the biggest thing is talking to other authors. So, my author friends, I'll have them read what I've submitted, and if they think it's good, and then that means a lot to me. And with the rejections, I go to them and just tell them I'm feeling down and that this has been a really hard week. And they'll usually pep me up and tell me that's okay. There is the real theory or theme of the starving artist, and none of us are doing this. At least none of my friends are writing full time and making their money that way. That's a good reminder for me, because sometimes you feel like you've failed even without rejection letters. If you're not getting paid, then you're not a real writer. And that's taken me decades, really over a decade, to come around to realizing it, to accepting in myself that no, you are a real writer. Even if you got paid $60 for that last article that took you 3 hours to write, or even if you didn't get paid at all, just writing, putting it down on paper and sharing it. Sharing it is the big part of that to me. You can be a person, write your own journal and nobody sees it. I don't consider that quite the same as being a writer who shares their work with other people. And even just friends and family who read it make you a real writer. And I have to remind myself of that a lot because there's a lot of competition out there. There are a lot of organizations that want you to write for free. And that's something I've had to come around to as well. What am I getting out of this? Sometimes it's not money. Sometimes it's just a symbiotic or synergistic relationship where I get marketing or outreach or networking in exchange for a review, for instance. I've had people contact me to write book reviews for them for free, and I have to be pretty selective in that regard because otherwise that's what I'd be doing all the time.
Yes, absolutely. It's hard to make bank in
It
the.
is.
Have you ever considered writing under a pseudonym? Why or why not?
Yeah, I really considered it a few years ago. My next book that I'm working on is called Summer Dreaming, and it's about the cankeron, which is a species of Lepidoptera or butterflies and moths that in which only the males grow wings. It's an interesting metaphor for those who don't necessarily abide by the gender norms of our society. And with the troubles that I've had publishing my past picture books, even the ones that were traditionally published, it took years to find a traditional publisher. My illustrator for The Fate of the Frog, Stacey Fabre, who I actually met online through social media, so that's an interesting story in its own right. She had offered to be my ghost illustrator, which I thought was incredibly generous because it seems that the editors and publishers I was submitting to, even when they liked what I submitted, they would say, we find it hard to sell a book that's not written and illustrated by the same person, that the author is not an illustrator of. I've gotten that quite a few times, actually. So Stacy said, why don't we just combine and make a pseudonym? She illustrated Summer Dreaming for me, and we're still finalizing it, but we're still considering publishing that under a pseudonym, Melissa Stacy. So my name and her first name, and we're still considering that. I'm not sure how that works. So yeah, I'll have to talk to you a little bit about that. Whether you just put it out there and pretend like you are this new person, or whether you make it pretty clear from the beginning that you're publishing under a pseudonym and the fact that I'm not the illustrator of the book. It's going to be interesting. I really want to find out how that story ends. So you may be seeing that book under the pseudonym Melissa Stacy. I know that there are a lot of ghost writers out there, of course, and they don't get any mention on the books. I feel like illustrators, at least the good ones, are a big part of the creative process. And they don't often get the credit. When you list a book, you list it with the author's name, not necessarily the illustrator's. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting journey. But talking to you and maybe talking to some others, we might go down that road.
Oh yeah, that's a whole discussion we'd have to get online and do separately just for that because there's so many pros and cons to each one. Then there's the legality of it all, and it's a personal decision.
Yeah. And with us, it would be two people making that decision. So she's incredibly giving and generous and very altruistic, but still, you want to make sure that when you're two people working together like that, that you're both on the same page.
See, there's certain parts to your publishing when if you go through Draft to Digital or Ingram Sparks. I like Draft to Digital because they allow you to assign a percentage of your royalties as a collaborator.
I like that. That was my concern too, is like, how do I pay her? I want to pay her out of the royalties moving forward, not just a flat. So a lot of illustrators just get a flat sum, $800, which doesn't sound like much, but that's awesome what they're offered now. $800 to illustrate a picture book, and that's all they get out of it. It'd be nice for them to have some more skin in the game. One of the big questions that editors and publishers ask is, how many books did you sell for your last publication? I haven't sold 10,000 of any of my books yet. Those are the kind of numbers that they're looking for, or something in the 5 digits. So coming out with a pseudonym gives you the opportunity to be a new author enables editors and publishers not to judge you based on your past sales. I know with Eddie the Electron, I sold that book outright, so I didn't get any royalties. I had the feeling that I'm not getting anything out of this. The publisher will sell the book, and that did not happen. As a lot of the marketing and outreach and selling is on the author, that doesn't reflect well on my sales. The book's still selling, but in terms of the first year, it did not have a good sales record. And that's not something that I necessarily think is going to help me when it comes to finding my next publisher. So to be a debut author through a pseudonym, debut authors are another thing that they seem to be looking for as well. Editors and publishers really like finding that diamond in the rough who hasn't been discovered yet. And having a pseudonym gives them the opportunity to do that.
As a suggestion from me,
Yeah,
what I did
please.
was I went on to ChatGPT. I gave some parameters for a pretend author and the name that I wanted to use based on the
Oh,
genre. It came up with a pretend bio and a picture. I asked it to create a picture of somebody.
yeah.
And then I used that for my thing.
That's great. I used to be anti AI when it first was hitting big. People were starting to talk about that. Just a couple of years ago, I had some friends that were like, "This is awesome. I just typed in my lesson, ask ChatGPT for my lesson plan, and it just brings it right out." It did make me wonder what that's going to do for writers of all kinds, writers of articles, writers of fiction, writers of Netflix series, the whole shebang. But I've found it now in the last literally month to be quite a good tool when it comes to writing the reviews. I write things. It's not necessary. I don't use it to write the reviews, but I'll put in what I felt just in my own words and not worrying about the terminology. And it'll give me a good starting point. And that's often the hardest part about writing is when you see that blank page and you have to come up with something that you can work with. It skips that step. Chat GPT can often come up with just an outline or first draft in a draft with a capital D. So we'll see where the AI thing goes, but I like that idea of using it to see what kind of biography it pulls up. Somebody else had done this on social media, and I typed in that I would like it to create a picture of me in my world based on what it could find about me on the internet. And it was really scary what it came up with. It had our big family room, which is where I usually work. To my husband's chagrin, I sit on the couch there right by the front door and work and write and do all my stuff there. And I'm usually surrounded by clutter. I've got an iPad here and a computer here and my iPhone here. And then my son's computer is over on the other side. And my husband's laptop might be on the radiator. And it drew a picture very similar to that. I've never taken a picture, I don't think, in that room and posted it, but it looked scarily like what a day in my life would look like. Chances are, if you walk into my house, you're going to find me sitting on the couch right in the family room with my laptop in my lap and a bunch of books around me. Yeah. Don't know where it found that about me on the internet, but
Hey, you never know. It might have just turned on your camera and took a peek.
I did not think about that.
My daughter takes tape and puts it, even though we have a slider thing on it, she puts tape on all the cameras.
Yeah, that's probably what it did. I'm so gullible.
And I'll warn you now, I don't know if this was just several months ago and it hadn't gotten up to it, but I asked it a question about the top 5 mystery books in the last 100 years or whatever. And there was a couple of them on there that's never been written.
Oh,
It's real cool, and I wanted to read them, but the authors were not real. The books were not real. So
I wonder sometimes how can it possibly make that mistake given how smart computers are now? But I've tried some AI illustrating using Stacy's work. I was very insistent that I don't want to create any illustrations just based on collecting free stuff that I think shouldn't be free really on the internet for those illustrators. So I input Stacy's illustrations and saw what it could put out for me. Some of the illustrations are gorgeous, but yet they have 6 fingers on a hand. I know that it's said that AI has an issue with digits, but I still find that hard to believe. I'm wondering if there are not some things like that are thrown in order to give the viewer a red flag. Like this was done by AI, particularly for school assignments. My third child is 14 and is in high school. And he told me that a lot of his friends will use ChatGPT to do their assignments. That's even more concerning to me than using it to publish articles and books in the publishing world, is if you
Well,
can use it to get through school.
warn him that they're not always accurate because I used it for a quiz for a teacher in its general knowledge of astronomy, for instance.
Right.
They have a bank of questions that's already published on the internet, and two different guys had different answers for the questions.
Oh,
And I didn't make 100, and I should have.
yeah.
The teacher and I were trying to figure out where they went wrong, but it could be encoded so that you don't get 100 or you don't get everything accurate.
Right. You'd think there'd be some kind of, I don't know, safety to prevent people from being able to abuse it like that. My son doesn't use it. I make sure to see him sitting at the laptop doing his work. A lot of parents don't have that capability either. So the students are on their own. It's going to be interesting to see where this AI thing goes in the next 10 years, particularly with regard to colleges. A lot of things are going online now. You can even get your complete college course online. So you don't even meet the teacher in person except once or twice. So it's hard for them to really get an idea of, I think, your voice and whether they're getting something that is not what you wrote.
I am actually in college now,
Oh, good
trying
for
to get
you.
my bachelor's degree,
Wow. In
business
English
administration.
business administration, you
And
go.
that's the only one I had the most credits toward, so I didn't have to do a whole new kind of program because I've changed my major 3 times in the last 50 years. And I have too many credits.
That's great. No, that you're a perpetual student. We all are, but I think that's excellent. And honestly, I feel like we writers could really benefit from business classes. There's a lot there. I have thrown money at a few things that have made me wary of paying for anything now, whether it's editing services or help with my web page or social media or whenever I've gotten to the point I feel like if I don't do it myself, then I'm not sure that I'm getting what I pay for. I would love some business classes. And also knowing how to do your taxes, what you can write off, the whole thing. It can be really intimidating,
Yeah,
especially to creatives. So I think that's excellent. Then you'll be able to offer some of your business services.
I already
Don't
do.
keep you from writing. But
I already do because I've been retired since 2012
okay.
and I've been a website designer for over 25 years.
How?
I'm self-taught. I finally went and got a certificate in it. I have a certificate in digital marketing and social media. I have 2 actually. And so I decided to go ahead and get my master's degree at the University of Florida. They have an online social media through the journalism department. And
Yeah.
I just applied for the fall term because I'm graduating with a bachelor's degree at Florida State College at end of July.
When do you have time to write?
I don't really have a lot of time.
Not at the moment. That's on hold for a bit.
And I'm also doing 3 book festivals, and I work for 4 different writers groups as volunteers. One of them pays, which is nice. It helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
The others are just as I can get to it kind of thing. And so, anyway, that's me.
You don't sound like you sleep, but
No, not really.
no.
About once a week, I get to sleep for 14 hours straight, and
That's good. So you live the life of an adolescent.
I've gone back to it.
Yeah. Talk about staying young. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for joining me, Jolene McFadden, on this episode of Jolene's Books and Writers Talk. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with today's guest and found inspiration for your own reading and writing journey. The show is brought to you by Southern Dragon Publishing, helping authors publish, market, and share their stories with the world. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend who loves books as much as you do. Until next time, happy reading. Keep writing.